Um,
Then it is Sunday fun day. How are you going today, my brother? Having a good weekend?
oh, look, just loving life as always. It's just a beautiful life we live. Ups and downs, but
Yeah, still here.
nonetheless, it's a beautiful day.
Yeah, fucking oath, mate. Still obviously up here in Coffs Harbour, and it does take quite. We do get maybe a cold month of winter, but yeah, we've had really like the last 2 months we've had some brilliant weather, and today was just magical. The water's getting a bit cooler, but up here, yeah, we are very lucky. So I'd only imagine down in Melbourne it's starting to get a little chilly, mate. It's starting to feel a bit of
Uh,
snow coming on.
Look, a little chilly is might be an understatement, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, I'm
it's
driving to Sydney tomorrow, and I've packed a shitload of jumpers. I don't think I've worn a jumper in about 9 months. So yeah, we'll see how we go. Apparently, they're
yeah,
getting a bit
that's
of a
exactly
snap
right.
too.
Look, it's not too cold, but I think you do need some warm clothing. I just invested in some thermal socks because
Yeah,
I've
fuck yeah,
never been a sock person, but turns out
yeah.
they're very comfortable.
Is it like the big tradie ones with the fluoros, or no? These are different.
They're the furry ones.
Ah, shit, yeah.
They're
Good
the
to step up.
I've gone full Melbourne.
Yeah, just watch out for the athlete's foot, though, mate. Sometimes get a bit sweaty underneath the undercarriage. Need to pull those suckers apart. But yeah, no, fuck yeah, how good are socks, mate? There's nothing like a good, as my parents always said when I was younger, you're starting to get on in the years when you appreciate a good new pair of undies and socks. And fuck this, I bought a pair this week and nothing quite like it.
That's exactly right, and especially when you're not turning the undies inside out and putting it back on.
Yeah, that's
You
right.
really know
Throwing them in the
things are
corner
starting
and
to pick up.
letting them air out for a few days and running them again. But yeah, anyway, that's stories of young boys. What have you been up to, mate? How's the business going? How's life treating you, mate? No
Well,
car
look,
accidents, mate. Everything going all right?
no, things are good. Things are good. Things are good. Things are quite well. I mean, obviously, everyone is going through the whole COVID-19 situation, and so
Mm.
am I. Just like everyone else, business is affected by it, but nonetheless, there is always opportunity in chaos. Nonetheless,
Yeah,
and
exactly right.
I'm just trying to capitalize on that opportunity with keeping in mind that the you have to sort of have like downtime as well, because there is that uncertainty at times, so you still sort of have to like take some time back. So it's obviously not business as usual, but it's still good. I'm quite happy, things are going well. um Feeling well, just sort of things are starting to calm down as well, which is kind
Yeah,
of nice.
yeah, it's a little bit like that. Like you definitely go through waves day in, day out, and we kind of been. It's been over a month now. It's April pretty much didn't exist. That's just how fast it went. I think what lockdown might have started March 28th. So we've been in nearly 5 weeks into it now, and hopefully they're talking May 11th. I think they're going to start opening some things up restrictively, and hopefully that'll see gyms come back to life, which will be fucking exactly what so many of us need. My opinion, gym is a central service, but regardless, it's a topic up for debate, I'm sure. And we're in a pretty good spot here in Australia, so hopefully that's the case. Have you downloaded the COVID Safe 19 app, mate? Have you downloaded the app yet?
No, I haven't, and I
You're
don't
not gonna,
particularly
yeah,
want to get into the argument of it.
yeah, no. So you're not gonna turn it on to always and have them know where you are at all times. Not interested in that.
Look, not particularly. That's not my
Yeah,
ultimate desire to be
yeah,
known where exactly I am.
for sure, for sure. Because
Um,
it is for our safety, It is, No,
is it?
nah, no chance, bro. So my thoughts and my quick 2 cents, and we can go deep on it if we want to, or if not. But like most apps you use nowadays, they all have most of them have a location request when you download the app. They like to know where you're buying certain things from, where you're accessing it from. I like to use it for the bank, so I know where the closest ATM is, or obviously Google Maps. But I've actually turned it all off now, except for Google Maps, and I only have it set to ask upon request, which I think is the best way to do it. But it's just, unfortunately, there's bad people out there, and it's not just being hacked, but there's also a a little bit of dishonesty, I think, that goes on with politics and in the government, and who knows who actually is going to get access to the information. And it's one of those things, once you give over that permission, like when this all blows over, it's not necessarily just going to get deleted and wiped out and they're not going to use it again. That's some pretty good technology and some pretty good information they're going to have, so they're going to be able to do whatever they want with it. So I understand why they're trying to do it principally, but it's also it also has a lot of ways that it can be that it can blow up in the face. So yeah, I don't feel comfortable using it, so I won't. But I know apparently over 4 million people already have, so each their own.
Well, that's exactly right. Look, if
Definitely
you
pushing hard for us to download it. That's for sure.
yeah, if I'm gonna get into it, but I don't particularly want to get into that particular
Yeah,
topic because that would drag out about at least 55 minutes of an episode. But
yeah,
I do want to say, however, the problem is it's not necessarily the fact that I don't want government to know where exactly I am because I'm doing something illegal or whatever, right? It's the fact of it's dangerous almost in a weird way because right now what the app uses is has full control over your Bluetooth as well as your Wi-Fi. I don't think it's Wi-Fi, but Bluetooth
yeah.
location as well
Bluetooth.
as yes. So the problem with having connection with Bluetooth, so what it's doing is it's identifying other people based on Bluetooth when you come in a close proximity to people. Now the problem with that is, so that's not just people identifying saying, hey, you came in. There's a lot more they can do. And now majority of the time things may be good because the government may be working in our favor, but I also think there could be a lot more things that can be done by just finding out who you have been in contact with,
Yeah, yeah,
especially in
yeah,
up, especially in a close proximity. There's a lot more, and things could sometimes data doesn't. The scary thing about data is because humans can't really process data as it should be processed. So sometimes data can be interpreted in a sense where, let's say, you
interpreted.
were yeah interpreted that word. So let's say if you were in closer proximity to some killer or the time of a killing,
Yeah,
let's just say, and then you just all of a sudden that's a thing because you were in closer proximity to a killer. Maybe the killing was happening, it was outside your house and you didn't you don't know what could chances be because technology breaks down. But that kind of data, and based on what, it's like the same thing. Do you remember how census online, right? It all broke down. You think the problem with is we often think that government knows what they're doing. The problem is the government doesn't. If you they honestly don't, because if you look at how government operates, they're still using systems that were made in 1960s. Or maybe not. That's pushing it. But
yeah. The business model of a lot of the ways they operate are somewhat like that for sure. They're never very rarely they're ahead of the curve. They're always catching up based on change in marketplace or another company or another product bringing something in, and they're kind of forced to change. Yeah,
that's exactly right. And you look at the whole census system, you think the government that has, basically access to unlimited resources couldn't build a freaking system that would allow for a basic census to occur online? It's really,
yeah,
you really have to wonder. But
100%.
clearly the problem is because they don't actually have those reasons. Not the fact they don't have the resources, it's just the bad fact that people who are head of departments just don't understand. Because you got to think about the mindset it takes to be in the government sector when you could do the same job. Let's say if you're a technology developer, right? If you're the kind of person who develops technology, if you're really good, chances are you'll go to public sector. You won't go to government because you in public sector you'll earn millions,
Yeah,
where in the
you're
government
limited.
sector.
Yeah, yeah,
So you got to remember that government is bound by those decision makers who are actually second to everyone else. They're not great. So that's the problem with these people. And someone was saying they need to release the code for this app. I was like, I mean, the app already is insecure as it is. I mean, if you release the code, every chump is going to start hacking it.
yeah. Fuck yeah. Yep, exactly right. And then what they can do from there, and the type of people, yeah. And we're in Australia where we're pretty. It doesn't look good. And if you look at kind of throughout history where governments have kind of phased in different ways of controlling people, like location access, of knowing where people are at all times and being able to limit people what they can do and who they can see and how long they can be there, and you can't go here, there, or everywhere. It's just, yeah, it is. It's just tricky waters, I guess. So you're right to be hesitant, and like they can certainly request people to download the app and ask people, but they should never like victimize or villainize the people that don't want to do it, because it's fucking, yeah, it's just murky water, right? Just there's like something about it, and you don't even have to get into the conspiracy side of it. There's just, I think, it's basic human nature. Like, do they have to know this information? Like, what do they have to know? Just minimal shit at all times. And I don't believe that once this is given over, like, you can just delete the app, but what do they know about your behavioral patterns from there? So yeah,
It's not even that. The worst part is I just don't trust the government in keep making sure the app is
yeah,
secure, because
yeah,
I don't think that app is secure, because just like census, how that fell over, got hacked by just no one pretty much. It wasn't a great hacker. Someone just did it. So just like that, I don't think the government is capable of building systems that are unhackable.
yeah,
So, and I would rather not give my sensitive data to some hacker. Simple as that.
yeah,
Google, in contrary, I trust Google more than I trust the government, because I know Google is a company that builds extremely solid infrastructures. And chances are, even though if they willingly sell my information, it's different to them just, oops, we got hacked.
yeah, yeah. Oh no, yeah, just like what happened when they laid everyone off, closed all businesses, and they try to get everyone to go on the MyGov website to apply for job seeker or job keeper, whatever the payment is, and then 5,000 people went on there and it crashed the thing. It's just like, oh, sorry guys, we fucking, yeah, we're trying our best here, yeah, hang in with us, we'll be right now. If you do that in the marketplace, if you're a business and you do that, you bloody shut down in 2 weeks. So yeah, it's just, yeah, it's a great point. I haven't thought of it in that way. I kind of did, but I didn't really think about it in that way. And it's just so obvious that's where people are going to go for, especially if they're not working, mate. They've got all the time in the world if they can get in there and get after it. But
Well, that's exactly right.
it is,
And the thing with hackers is, you gotta, it's the society, the hacking society, the whole, their whole ideology is very anti-structure, and it's not that they're necessarily pushing for chaos, but it's just the fact that because they are capable of doing that kind of things, they are going to do it. It's the Murphy's law, Murphy's principle. If you're capable, if something's gonna go wrong, it will go wrong.
yeah,
But yeah, so that's the whole a little bit of a take on the app. Now, this is a little bit of a late introduction. This is the episode 12 of Clever Dummies podcast. So we're up to a dozen episode, which is very exciting.
yeah, big achievement there, mate.
Big achievement there. I think this is probably sad as it is. This is one of the longest pieces of content that we committed to, and to a nice little accord as well. So there's been some movement in how many people have been listening to the podcast and
Yeah,
downloading, which has been incredible. I think
it's amazing.
yeah, roughly 8,000 people have tuned in to listen. Not all of them finished the episode,
Yeah,
obviously. So, some of them are a bit grubs, a bit of
yeah,
grubs,
for sure, for sure. Well,
but
that's, no one can get 100%. You're never going to bet 100. So, yeah, if you can clear 10 or 20%, which we definitely did, like, that's a success in itself. Particularly when you're talking about that many people, and like those aren't people that we know. So, yeah, it's pretty unreal. When you sent that to me last night, you just having to look on the back end of Spotify, and just fucking
yes, I just hadn't
yeah,
hadn't yeah hadn't had a chance to look. So, which is absolutely incredible. So, once again, I guess this is where we start saying, oh, thank you to all the people who've listened to the podcast.
yeah, most
No,
definitely, most definitely. Like, we're doing it with each other, but yeah, it's just beautiful. That's just a nice feeling to know that people like it, and people do reach out to us and tell us that we're doing a good job, or they liked something we said, or they've just found it entertaining, and that's cool to hear. So yeah, bloody hell, thank you guys so much.
absolutely. So that's a whole bunch of fun. And I'm quite happy about that, and quite proud as well, actually. So that's that little bit of just something that I wanted to quickly bring up. Now, for today's more of in-depth topic, which I sort of particularly wanted to get into, which haven't spoken to you about it, Lachlan. So this is, speak about this. Let's talk about this. So I've been recently feeling a bit attacked by people, right? By not everyone, but people. But I say the reason I've been feeling attacked because these people have been telling me, oh, it's not people, certain people, and just some of my friends and some colleagues and different areas. So let's just say general population,
Yeah, sure,
and
sure.
and also some Instagram posts and videos I've been feeling attacked by those. So there's a big push in everyone. Everyone is right now. Everyone is feeling uncertain, and there we talked about fear in one of our previous episodes, and we can understand this. That episode is very relevant right now with everything going on. So I do agree that there's a certain extent of anxiety that you feel. In fact, I went to Kmart today, and there was a line, huge line, to go into Kmart. And once I got into Kmart, there was pretty much nothing, and I actually felt really anxious. I was like, "Man, that's crazy." So I was, I
Came up
felt
to they
anxious.
just load the shops up, like the aisles are full. There's fucking they've got aisles in the middle of aisles. Yeah,
Yeah,
big store,
so
like a big one.
big one.
Yeah,
Basically, all empty. All empty. It was crazy.
wow.
The randomest things were sold. Like everything was. I was like, I felt quite anxious. Like, what's going on? So I agree that things are very uncertain, and it's a crazy time, and the fear comes into place, and those basic fears that we talked about are happening, and there's a principle about how the psychological needs aren't being met, where connection is not there. People lacking connection, everything. Now, there's been a weird push for everyone to kind of, and I wonder if this is agenda driven by something, but I couldn't really get. Maybe this is another conspiracy theory, but I don't know. But personally, I've been feeling attacked. So there's a whole push to feel things, and I am all for people actually exploring what they're feeling because that's really important. Feelings should never go unnoticed because you don't want to more you suppress, they're gonna come back later and hurt you more, if anything.
Yeah, yeah,
Now, but what the push has been to feel sad, and so I've been getting this message from society like you need to feel sad because if you're not sad, where everyone else, you need to feel sad because everything else, you should feel anxious. The problem is I haven't been feeling anxious, and I haven't been feeling sad, and I haven't been feeling depressed. I don't understand if you're feeling sad and a little bit depressed and a little bit anxious, all of that's valid. But if I'm not feeling that, if I'm not feeling not feeling sad or depressed or anxious, that's not valid because that means I'm wrong. I'm just not experiencing my feelings or not looking at my feelings, so I need to go back and check it again because clearly I'm not right.
yeah,
So that's something that I've been sort of personally been feeling attacked by. But nonetheless, this is a really it's a really interesting movement because there was videos about it and someone saying like you need to feel. I was just everything. There was a video about by College Humor. I don't want to talk about them, but nonetheless, they made a video. I just followed them just for a good laugh because
who was it?
that's how dumb they are. College Humor,
Oh,
bottom
yeah,
of the barrel,
yeah, but yeah, they're
bottom of the
kitty
barrel.
stuff.
Yeah, boom. So, I followed them and I saw something and I was like, man, I just feel like there's almost like a little push for everyone to feel sad and anxious. Even if you're not really, even if those feelings aren't anxious, genuine, there's a push for you to actually feel that way. And I wonder why that is.
Ask that. Say that again.
So there's a weird push from
Yeah,
society for everyone to experience this sadness, even if you're not, right? Even if you're not really in that little, if you're not like, to be honest, I'm in an okay situation. I'm pretty good. Like,
yeah,
I'm not suffering like other people are. So, people in third world countries would be, if you think Australia is like, if people experience anxiety and all those things in Australia, just imagine what other people are facing, right? In other countries, even America.
yeah, yeah.
So it just makes me wonder why is there's a push for people to feel sad, even though even if someone may not be feeling sad, the push from society is that you need to feel sad and you need to feel down, you need to experience sadness, even if you're genuinely not feeling it.
Yeah, that's a really difficult question to answer because I guess the easiest way for me, what I think of immediately is like why, like what would be causing, like where's that message coming from, and people are going to feel a certain way, and like I'll be honest for myself, if I'm feeling sad or upset, like it. it has a little bit of a contributing factor to COVID, but I would have been going through this no matter what, like in my own head. So I'm pretty good at kind of identifying where my feelings are coming from and why they're there, and so I don't. It's definitely easy to blame it on something like that and say, "Oh, it was all good," but you're really kind of just lying to yourself. And if you generally have, say if you own a business or if you've got some really major impact from what's going on, then of course, like you want to, you need to grieve, or you need to, you just need to get through it, and you need people's help to get through it. And that's like a really good message to, not pat your neighbor on your back, but say hello to whoever you can. Call friends and family, like reach out to people because people are feeling sad. So those are really good messages. But then there's kind of like the other angle of that, where like every news story you go onto, every what most people are talking about, what most people are regurgitating is a negative headline or a negative quote that they've heard. So, I mean, it sounds like for me, this situation more than anything has just proved like how kind of far media, most traditional and any real media, even new media online, has fallen, and how their business is so flawed and so based off a certain business model that they have to kind of obviously do what they can to get a certain amount of people to click their shit, but they're just spewing out just hatred. They're spewing out like really negative things. Like in Australia, we're doing really well, man. Like we had a peak at the end of March. We had, I think, the worst. There was like maybe 400 or 500 cases a day of people getting it. And now it's fallen right down. Like we've got single figures for like the last 2 weeks, but you're not hearing that you're not hearing that at all, or you're not hearing that angle. You're not hearing like that. You're hearing, there's few people still getting it, or there's one person in a thing somewhere, or there's a cruise that happened 3 weeks ago. So like, even though I think that's where a lot of it, and if you're online, if you're on social media, a lot of that, even though people aren't physically talking to each other, they're talking to each other on that platform. So like, I think that's what it is. And a lot of people, you can't just blame them for it. You've got to be able to think on your own 2 feet. But yeah, I think that's more than anything, and really smart people that I listen to who said the same thing. Like, this is really like, this will be the death of a lot of those people when the people get through it. So yeah, that's what I think. Because I felt that same way when it first started too. When I was watching a lot of it, like I started to change my behavior, and I started to look at the glass half full, half empty, I should say. But I guess it's up to us to kind of eliminate that shit too. Like if there's a negative person, or if you're doing something negative or whatever else, just cut it off. So yeah, just like anything, just go to the source of it. If you don't, it's not helping your life, you just fucking get rid of it. It's a shame. It's bullshit. It makes me upset too. But yeah, it's also
Yeah,
what
for
you
sure.
want to do. Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. And look, I assume it's once again it's a proper propaganda thing. And look, once again, I really want to stress, because in before I get, I'm not saying that just because I want to say I'm being good. But the thing is, I understand that certain people are feeling down, and that's
yeah,
valid.
for sure.
How, no matter who you are, your process of feeling is valid, right?
Yeah,
The
yeah,
only problem is, just like how your individualistic, unique process is valid, and that is true for any other individual who is not you.
yeah,
And that's very important, right? Because, if you're allowed to feel sad, the other person should be allowed to feel happy as well.
yes, yeah, yeah.
They- And, they just like,
Unfortunately, yeah,
and this is not opinions where, you get offended by any, like, this is not opinion where anyone should ever be offended, right? This is more people's feelings. You can't control how people feel. So whether if there's a push from social media to, hey, you need to experience your feeling, making like, if people aren't sad, everyone is sad, everyone is depressed. I actually think it's actually the push awareness of, like, awareness of this whole thing about, like, it's not, awareness is great, but it's also, there's a weird agenda push of it, like, hey, you're feeling sad, you're feeling sad, question mark. It's like the whole idea of, if you ever have you ever seen about have you ever seen in sometimes sometime there'll be like a porn that's been going around, right? It's been like famous, right? And some people haven't seen it, then a news media will do a story on it, and and then everyone will go watch it.
yeah,
You get what I mean? Like,
yep,
it's
yep,
that theory where, let's say, even if you aren't feeling sad, because everyone's like, well, I think you're feeling sad, And you're like, well, maybe I'm feeling sad. And in doing so, you're almost tricking your brain into going, well, fuck, there's no hope.
Yeah, or I need to be normal, so I need to feel the same way. And if you surround yourself with that, like if you hear it enough, it definitely starts to affect it. It doesn't matter what it is, doesn't matter how stupid it is, you can convince yourself eventually. And like by sitting, by being by yourself or not being with the people that you normally would be with. Like I spent a good night with some of my mates up here last night, and it was kind of a nice reminder that everything's all right and we're all in this together and we're still the same. We're not seeing each other as much as we used to, but everything's good. So if you're still not able to do that, and like I don't give a fuck. We weren't socially distancing. Shove that shit up your ass. Yeah, fucking six blokes who are healthy, fit young lads. Anyway, that's another topic for another day. So I know people, we're not encouraged to do that. Like and I still respect the social distancing in terms of public space, because a lot of people are still scared and a lot of people don't actually know what's going on and don't know the amount of people in the country that actually have it. So they believe that they're at risk of, so, and obviously we want to protect the elderly and those sort of things. So don't come and visit your 85-year-old pop who's, got one lung. But anyway, but so that was a nice reminder for me, and phone calls can kind of do the same thing. And so, I guess when you kind of just are enclosed and you're not going to your social circles, you're not going to work, definitely missing work for sure. So that can definitely make it hard, but it also I definitely go through like big ups and downs for sure myself. But I know what it's all about, and I'm pretty skeptical of what I don't consume pretty much any media, or I don't listen to public opinion. I'm kind of like you. If I hear one opinion or one thought, I tend to go the opposite way and try to figure out what
Yeah.
so many people, just by an example of everyone buying toilet paper, by people going to Kmart and buying fucking cookbooks or whatever the hell they're buying. Like that's just the amount of people in society. Like it sounds thing, but it's true. Like the amount of people in society that have just get blown over by a wind, a gush of wind, and they're hiding, hidden everywhere. So that's it's the truth of society. We all kind of knew it, and the last few months have really proved it to us.
Absolutely. This is to be honest, this whole situation is showing our weaknesses as society.
And again,
These weak
fear. It's not fear. I'm not attacking people for having fear, because I'm one of the most fucking fearful people I know, which sounds weird, but I mean just selfishness and not kind of not thinking for yourself, like kind of just going with it, saying, "Oh, this is how I have to go." Like that's where we're going wrong as society, not being scared, but what are we doing in that situation, and are we thinking
it's
of other people?
it's not there's a huge part of fear, and there's also a huge part of just uncertainty as well. So that's what makes people crazy. But the hardest thing is for people right now, and this is what's crazy, because on one side we keep on pushing and keep saying that humans are so incredible, we are so sophisticated, we're able to feel all these emotions, and this is what we can do, and all these things we can do, and everyone is smart and everyone is genius. But we say this, but when it comes to something like this, when I'm saying humans are capable of understanding and fighting their fight, and acknowledging their fight and flight response, and actually making an alternative decision based on common knowledge, or based on group experience, or accumulated group experience. Because we know for a fact there's only one way to get through this, and is that if we stick together, not physically, but if we stick together and watch out for each other, and we actually go, hey, the lady down the road really needs the toilet paper and she can't get out of the house. Maybe I won't go inside her house, but maybe I could bring her some toilet paper. That may not do anything for
Just make sure we
you.
don't use it first.
Yeah, but maybe it'll do something for her. Yeah, and then the same thing applies if you don't really need something. Why are you buying it? Because even in the worst of the scenario, let's say no one knows how long this will go for. Let's say if it goes for 2 years, you're not gonna need the fucking cookbook from Kmart.
Yeah, yeah,
Why
yeah,
are you buying that?
yeah,
And as humans, we're not that dumb. Like, I don't think, unless as a humans, we have to agree here and now that we're stupid as shit,
yeah.
and we're only just driven by our primordial instincts.
Yeah, because that's what it is. It's a little bit of fear that's come in, and uncertainty, and then that's that panic. Like I have those thoughts have come across. Like should I, especially early on, should I buy a lot? Like should I go in and figure it out? But a lot of people just don't have. Yeah, exactly. They're just giving straight into it, going
Well,
for
that's
it.
it.
Yeah,
It's just basically you have to this is what you have to do almost. There's two things that you can pick. Either you agree that humans are primordial as shit and we're stupid, and we can't tell from right from wrong, and we don't have that ability. Which actually, I'm gonna quote the Bible here, which actually says, when Adam and Eve Adam and Eve uh, took the fruit and they ate it, they were told they will become like God, which was be able to tell from right from wrong, right? So that's the quote from the Bible. And
yeah.
so
It's like
this
early
right from
Genesis.
wrong,
Yeah, right at the
yeah,
start,
yeah, the early
chapter two,
Genesis here. That's
chapter
right.
three. Yeah, if I can recall.
Yep, that's it. So, that was what as humans, our ancestors. If I'm talking about this, is because that's ancient human text that
Theology.
we've relied on for
Yeah,
years. So I'm not gonna I'm gonna the reason I'm quoting that is because so many people believe that, even if you don't, there's some historical value to it, because such as a large chunk of society believes in that. So we as a society and our ancestors, if Adam and Eve were our ancestors, made a decision to be like God and be able to tell from right from wrong, right? And yet we are sitting here. This is where I want to argue with people, is the fact that what happened to that right and wrong instinct is because that's what we fought for. That's why they got kicked out of Garden of Eden, because they chose to see from right from wrong. And now this is in 21st century, when we are a lot more smarter apparently, and we have constructs like these little cliques and these groups, and we want to fight for climate changes and all those things. So we are very advanced. Yet when it comes to a first sight of fear, apparently all of a sudden, no, humans are just primordial and they're afraid of fight and flight. That's why it's okay.
yep. And there's always been like a bit of a discourse, the separation between kind of Western and a lot of Eastern countries, and yet for the most part, people just don't have any rational understanding of the life they were lived, and how how they had to live day by day. And we get a 10%. A lot of people get like a 10% look into it, and there's certainly been people who have gone through a lot of bad shit, but yeah, most people it's really tough, but it's also not the end of the world. No, it's pretty much no one's the end of the world, and people just flip out. People just go, so yeah, it's so toxic, man. Like I stopped working at Liquorland. I was lucky enough to be able to get enough government support where I didn't need to work there, but every second person, I might serve 200 or 300 people in a shift. Don't you worry, man. The bottle shops were packed every day. We're like, it was like Christmas, like how many orders we would do and how much sales we would make. It'd be like a Tuesday afternoon, and we're pumping 8-9 grand an hour, which is like Christmas time stuff for us. So it was insane, and everyone's kind of, there's like three different people, which I guess kind of categorizes. There's one person who is ultra like the old school. Oh, this is fucking nothing. They're taking and then they close the pub down, the bars, and then there's the other one who's like reading every headline and on the app 24/7, and then there's people that are kind of in the middle. And it just got so exhausting. I'm like, this, I just don't want it. It's just, and I started to change the way I thought and believed and reacted to. Like I got overly dismissive of it. I didn't take it seriously enough at first, because I was just like, it was kind of like my counter to hearing people be so negative about it. Um, but it's very it's good. If you can take a good life lesson from it, which I think we are, us and our small group of people and the people that we, hopefully a lot of people listening, and yeah, I think we're going to be so much stronger because of it. We just you just have to, you just can't. It's very like trauma. Just that sort of, these sort of experiences just brings out the truth in a lot of people, doesn't it? Yeah, it's
It's
very,
exposing the weakness of society.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, it's. I mean, look, I'm not sure if we're proposing a solution, but I think wise what I don't know if I'm right, or if Lachlan is right, or who knows who is right, right? Maybe everyone who is holding up toilet paper is right.
Yeah.
The thing is, I think there is a process that you could go through of just going, hey, if this, that, like a basic if statement. Hey, do I really need 8 gallons of washing liquid and 4 gallons of
Well,
fabric softener?
if you actually look at what the supermarkets did, they had to get to a stage where they had to limit a lot of products because people were hoarding, and those limits weren't actually crazy. Like you generally only need 1 or 2 packs of toilet paper a week, depending how many people you live. If you only need a couple of packs of rice, unless you're just a carbohydrate savage, like you only need a few things. And within a few weeks, bro, if you go into Coles and Woolies now, they're almost got an overabundance of toilet paper. Like my mate who is a packaging manager at Coles Woolworths up here, he's like, bro, we've gotten truckloads of stuff come in that we actually don't have room for. So like once people were forced to go back to kind of the way they were shopping before, like now it's fine. Like it's just people that 10%, 20% of people had to go in. So I think in this situation they were, I mean,
Bloody
at the end of the
Karen.
day, yeah, at the end of the day, man, like if shit really hit the fan, bro, literally, the last thing I'm worrying about is toilet paper. You can figure that out, bro. I'm worrying about food. I'm worrying about water. I'm worrying about, you know, that sort of thing. I'm not worrying about if my butthole is going to be clean, bro. You just get a hose, figure it out. Anyway,
I just want someone to tell me what is the thought process
yeah.
behind the whole buying toilet paper.
It was a sheep. I think it was like that sheep mentality, bro. There was a couple that I can't remember, but I think it might have started as like a bit of a joke. Like there was like a little bit of dodgy, like a social media, maybe like a subreddit group or 4chan or one of those
Oh, good
dodgy
old
things.
Reddit.
But yeah. And like they said, oh, let's go buy a shitload of toilet paper, and it just caught fire. And it was, Channel 9 reported on it saying, oh, this supermarket in fucking Whoop Whoop is out of toilet paper, people going crazy. And then for people don't understand how that actually, like, don't actually know what's happened. They go, fuck, now every shopping centre's going to be at that. Then people go out and then bang, bang. And then within a week, people were actually getting, some of the people that would have been loading up on toilet paper were like, fuck, if I don't get it now, when am I going to get it? So I think that's probably what happened. Yeah.
Yeah,
And then
for
there was
sure.
obviously the early fight and people laughed at. Yeah, I mean, I want to. If I pulled up the statistics now, man, like we've had. This is from 3 p.m. Today, so we've had 611,583 tests in Australia done. So out of that 611,000, there's been 6,700 people confirmed positive. So that's 1.1% of overall tests. And just remember they've shut down the society for this. 93 overall deaths, obviously really sad. 90, a high percentage of those, over 90% of those were people above the age of 75, and they all had, most of them had underlying health conditions. So, cancer, lung issues, heart issues, that sort of thing. And there's currently about just over 5,700 people who have recovered from it. So, the reason why those numbers are as low as they are is because Australia were really proactive and we kind of got on top of it early. Um, it'll be interesting to see the lasting effects that what this is going to do to people and what this is going to do to the economy and businesses for years to come, for essentially something that and I don't feel comfortable saying it because I'm not a health practitioner, I'm not a scientist, I don't really know what's going on. But if I'm just looking at the numbers here, 1%, and then from there, not even 0.5% of those people actually passed away. Yeah, I guess I look at it like, wow, we did awesome, we did amazing, we smashed this thing. Like this thing was ruining people's lives in Australia, all over the world, and Australia's done a really good job. But I also look at it and go, fuck, we have the potential of not doing nothing for 2 months. And yeah, a lot of people, a lot of jobs are going to take some time. Like certain industries are going to be, it's going to be a while before things get back together. So it's it's good to know that I think we're through the worst of it anyway, and hopefully it should be back soon rather than later. But yeah, uncertainty is a little bit still high. That's for sure.
For sure, for sure. Agreed there.
Yeah, I kind
Um,
of ranted there a little bit. I kind of just don't know what to say about it because I don't want to be
yeah,
that guy who just goes, "Oh, it's fucking bullshit," and these guys are trying to ruin our lives. So I don't want to say, I don't want to be like that. But if I'm just looking at the numbers, and yeah, it's we certainly want to protect the people that are at risk and the people who may or may not be have a high chance of catching this and getting really fucked up. And people have certainly been really fucked up by it. But yeah, bro, it's a big wake up call for a lot of people that your respiratory system and your immune system is the most important asset you have. And obviously savings, having some money as well is definitely important, but it's get healthy, man. That's probably a positive to take out of it. The amount of people that have exercising outside now and kind of taking into consideration their health, and maybe they dismissed it. They thought, other things were a big priority. But yeah, so that's probably a good positive to take out of it.
For sure. Look, if we can learn some lessons out of it, that's awesome. And I
Yeah,
think
have
that's
to.
all that matters. And I think if we can get lessons out of it, it will, it will really mean a lot for the society and will be better for it. And if this whole thing exposes some of the weakness of the society, I'm
Yeah,
not completely too mad about it either, because that way at least we know what our weaknesses are and
yeah,
we could address them, because awareness is really important. The thing is, if we do see the weaknesses, we have to acknowledge them. I mean, you can you can see a great example if you look at America. They've always just thought of themselves as this incredible democracy, and their system is broken. As a country, they're broken, yet they will never admit it. you
yeah,
know they're a house of cards. I mean, there's people out on the street in California.
yeah.
They were
Hundreds of
basically out,
thousands of homeless.
yeah,
Yeah,
protesting that open us, and there's like
okay.
thousands of people on the streets.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
doesn't make sense. I mean,
yeah,
it's crazy.
yeah. Yeah, I think over there they obviously have that mentality. They have that really. They have their amendments, First and Second Amendments, and they have like a really. A lot of people have like a negative stigma and opinion of the government, so they're kind of really rebellious, I guess, in that sense. And they also don't kind of have the support that we had over here. So a lot of people got like a $1,200 paycheck, and so yeah, without knowing exactly what the circumstances were like, there's obviously a lot of crazy. Like that's exactly how this virus spreads up again. And then if the numbers rise again, well, you're not going to be going back because you've literally just contributed it to it. But I also kind of understand. I don't like on one hand I think it's stupid and crazy, but on the other hand I go, yeah, I don't live there, so I don't know what it's like. It could be tough. We are
Well,
so
that
lucky. Yeah, we're so blessed to be living over here. I think definitely one thing that it changes. There's a lot of things that will probably change. Is certainly, hopefully, um, obviously, I think what was the numbers like 97 or 98% of the world's antibiotics come from China, and pretty much most of the world's produce come. So many things come from China. So hopefully, it forces country to start to invest back in their own country, and obviously the reason why it has outsourced is because it's fucking business, man. It's about supply and demand, and how can we get this thing for cheaper. So it's definitely not as complex. It's definitely not a theological discussion. Like it has to go down to numbers and everything else. I hope we can sort of reintroduce a little bit more dependence on our own self. And I'm really interested to see kind of how it started and what sort of the nature of the Chinese government, how they sort of broke down at first that it wasn't an issue, and then all of a sudden it was killing people in Italy like crazy, and then bang, it was all over the world. So I think I'll be interested to see what kind of goes on there. There could be some serious shit that happens in terms of people getting forced into like people facing serious repercussions for whatever went on. So it's kind of watch that space a little bit. But those sort of things will be it. So once it all kind of blows over, they're not. It's kind of hard to investigate that sort of thing now, because if you read on what kind of how it started and everything else. How it potentially, like this kind of theories that it could, not conspiracy theories, but actually legitimate theories that it could have come out of the Wuhan biolab, that was obviously only a few k's away from the wet market that it was originally found to be from. And not so much that it was like a bioweapon that they wanted to release it and fucking kill people, but they were experimenting on animals, and it either got out just because they weren't secure enough with their testing, or they had animals that were being sold. Anyway, it's a bit confusing to know exactly, but to see how it actually whole kind of started and whatever else. I guess I've never lived there, bro, but have you ever been to like a wet market type thing? Have you ever been to like a place where they kind of sell food out in the open like that?
No, not really. I haven't
Yeah,
personally.
yeah. Thailand, do they have it over there?
I think I'm not too sure. I haven't been to one of those.
Yeah, okay. You went to Thailand, just sort of, did you just sort of, you weren't there too long, eh?
No, I was there for a bit, but I didn't really go to any
Yeah,
sort of, because in
didn't
the
get
cities, I
invited,
don't
eh?
think they are in
Yeah,
major
yeah.
middle cities there. Yeah,
Yeah, it's a bit more sort of rural, sort of in the jungles.
yeah. Anyway, so the fact of the matter is we live in a crazy world. So I think we'll wrap up for today's episode, Locke. If that's
Yeah,
Does
yeah,
that
yeah.
work for you?
Yeah, if you're done, bro, do you have are you still a little bit hesitant to talk about because it's a bit hard to know exactly what's going on, or are you sort of just a bit over it too?
For
I'm a little
what?
bit
What in regards?
like,
Oh,
yeah,
look,
I don't know.
I'm really weird about I'm weird about the whole COVID-19 stuff. Just because, okay, well, now you now you
Yeah,
basically
I
done it.
tricked you, bro.
Good question, Prob. See, that's exactly okay. Look, my problem is I'm in a weird mindset where I'm seeing that there's a lot of we aren't taking this as how we should. That's how I feel. I feel like we're not doing the things we should, but everyone each to their own. But I just feel like as a society we completely fucked up. That's what I feel like.
Yeah,
I
yep,
feel like we failed we failed to do things, especially that whole hoarding stuff. Was I felt quite disappointed. I felt quite when your parents come in and just say, I'm not
yeah,
mad, I'm just disappointed.
yeah,
I just
yeah.
felt disappointed, and I was just like, it's weird. And then there's
Because that
the
created a problem that really didn't, a massive problem that really didn't need to happen. Like that, if this thing got worse, man, if this shit got worse and that had happened, like the amount of people that would have had basic necessities, like it's, yeah, you just feel kind of ashamed in the human race a little bit, in people.
yeah.
Yeah,
That's it. And the worst part is the contradiction in society as well. We run around saying how we are so sophisticated,
yeah,
and then we go on and do stupid shit like that. What happened to all the sophisticatedness? What happened to the times that you were protecting the planet and running after saving the animals? What happened to all that? What happened to all that sophisticatedness? So that all that's that I felt quite disappointed there. Now on the another thing, the problem is the whole conspiracy theories. There's so much conspiracy going on, and saying, well, government wants to do that. Look, I mean, maybe they do. Let's just say government did all this, right? If this was a test, as a society we fucking failed. Simple
yeah,
as that.
yeah,
We
yeah,
failed. If
yeah,
this was, yeah. So people, there's a conspiracy theories saying that oh, how could this happen? This couldn't happen in one in a million chances. Well, that's exactly right. They are one in a million chances, but there is one in a million chances. Just like how life to occur, there's like 1 in 1 trillion chances, something like that. Yet here we are sitting on this planet doing this podcast. So just like that, there's a slight chance there are virus that would occur from jump from one animal to another animal. It possibly could happen. Or there's a possibility that someone was fabricated and built a bioweapon, and they want, and that's also possible. Just like how World War happens, people do shitty things, you know. But as a society, we failed.
yeah. That's the most important. Yeah, yeah. Regardless of, even if it was, yeah, even worst case scenario, in the small chance that it did come from that, like at the end of the day, we kind of had a chance to prove to ourselves and prove to each other that we could kind of get through that sort of thing. And yeah, it failed in a lot of ways. Yeah, no, that's a heck of a point. That's kind of the best way
Yeah,
to look at it too, because you're not being dismissive of it, but you're also like, that's kind of the thing that the other shit doesn't really matter. Like, fuck, even if it was an attack, bro, what can we do about it? Fucking, well, what we did about it was we panicked, flipped out, and nearly created freaking, yeah, made it worse.
yeah,
Or
that's
did make it
exactly
worse.
right. That's exactly right, and I think that's as a fundamental we have to admit, and that's why I'm saying that I'm not saying I sit separately from society. I'm saying as we. There's no saying I'm not saying you did or anyone else did. I'm saying we as a society did. We did together. We failed together. We just failed to. It's just like we failed to. Our ancestors went to wars and fought for our freedoms, and in Pakistan, obviously, obviously clearly my ancestor would have fought for wars to get our freedom, literally, from when back when good old English was taking over the world. England was taking over the world, and that was a thing. And and then they did those kind of things. All we had to do was just stay home and just sort of not get too annoyed, and just sort of support each other, but we couldn't do that. So there's that. And then on top of that, media is just pushing everything.
Yeah,
Pushing media is just freaking seeing everything. This is an opportunity to just go on an outrage of making money right now. So that's also, once again, I feel disappointed in my friends who I went to uni with, who are journalists. And then I was just like, well, what happened to your idealism shit? And is that what you journalists have come down to? But then again, they that's what makes money. And so the sad thing is, and now this is where I never like blaming the capitalist society, because everyone's like, oh, capitalist society is the issue. It's not the issue. It's people who live in the capitalized society are the issue. Just like how racism is not an issue, right? It's not the minority is not the problem. Never is. People keep saying we need to stop being racist. We need to stop being racist. And who was it? Was it Nelson Mandela who said? Oh no, it was Morgan Freeman who said that. He said the
Yeah,
best way.
we
Sorry,
played Nelson.
got them confused. Now, how's that for racism?
Yeah,
No, he said the best way we'll avoid racism if we stop talking about racism.
yeah.
Why do we need to talk about, like, that's the
Yeah,
whole
I think
idea
he
of
was
that?
answering a question on the like Black History Month or something like that, and he's like, why do we segregate it to a month? Like, why isn't it? Yeah, talking about.
That's right.
So that's
That's
mentioned
right.
very
And I
similar
think,
answer, but I think that's yeah,
and it's like, in the arts, there's a
words are
big
powerful,
push.
right? Yeah,
Yeah, in making movies, there's a big push on making sure there's different kinds of people in movies, so it's not just white people, right? And my only problem with that is people are just doing it for the sake of it. Like, it's just it's a token. You'd be a movie, and then there's a token black person and a token Asian person. That
yeah,
I and now I'm supposed to accept that. I can't accept that,
yeah,
because I think that I don't even enjoy the movie anymore. Then I'm like,
yeah,
oh fucking, this is shit. It's like, I don't know if you remember watching Flash Lachlan,
yeah,
the
yeah,
show.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
And okay, so in comics, Arish was meant to be white. They
mm-hmm.
changed her with a black
Yeah,
lady.
yeah,
Go, she was a great actor, but I was just annoyed. I was like, I don't accept that, because
yeah,
the comics were written with a freaking white person. Just write your news stories with different people.
yeah. Except they had it the same. Like you look at the Ghostbusters, they recreated with a women cast. I mean, whatever, all good. It was terrible. It wasn't funny at all. That's really the most important thing, and even more so in terms of in terms of like leadership of business or politics. There's a lot of sporting bodies. So even district and like even low level sort of volunteer base level. Kind of sporting administration who want a certain amount of people in there. And I love diversity, absolutely. That's what Australia's built off. But you've got to get qualified people. You can't just be giving things out to people because to make the numbers up. Oh, we need three this, three that. Like the best people need to be there. It's the same with. It's kind of the same with governments. Like, oh, why we had Julia Gillard, but it's like, why haven't we had a female prime minister? Well, one, obviously, there certainly is like an old school mentality with a lot of those guys, but two, bro, women are just smart enough to realize it's a friggin' stupid thing to get into. I don't know what it is. Like, we shouldn't just be getting someone in there because oh, let's tick the box off. It's whoever's the best person for it. And like, it's kind of, I guess this probably started with some good intent to include people and to kind of, maybe, and it's obviously easy for me as a white guy to say it, but to maybe bring closer people, certain groups that felt dishonored or felt like they've had bad, disadvantages because of the way they are, then absolutely. But kind of in that mission to kind of even out the playing fields, people have just gone crazy and people just get in trouble now for doing, yeah. So it's just but that this all happened before COVID, right? So it's no surprise that
Yeah,
those same people who are doing that, those same people are the ones buying a shitload of toilet paper. You just know it.
yeah,
It's selfish.
and it's like 100%. And there's the okay. I don't want to bring other political issues into this, but I just want to mention one more thing. So everyone's been saying how all the leaders. Okay, this is, I gotta be really careful how I phrase this, because my intentions here are really good, or at least I think they're good, right?
Yeah,
So everyone's been saying how all the countries with female prime ministers have been doing great, right? Because look at, everyone keeps on saying, look at Jacinda from Jacinda, that's her name, right? Jacinda from Queen, New Zealand. She's doing a great job. She's doing an incredible job. 100% agreed. And I don't think it has anything to do with the fact that she's a woman or she's a man or she's not, right? I think she's just a really good leader. That's it.
is that their
There's
prime minister?
Yeah, the Prime Minister of New Zealand,
Yep,
Jacinda.
yep, yep,
So
yep.
I think she's just a brilliant leader. I don't think it has anything to do with the fact that she's a woman or if she's not a man or whatever, right? I think she's just a phenomenal leader, and there's not, you cannot fault her. She's beautiful as a person. She talks to her people like she cares about them. Well,
Yeah,
she
yep,
does care about them. She cares about her
yeah,
people. and she, and she's personable, and she, she even took a pay cut because everyone's they're supporting. She's a really good leader, and I can't fault her at all. And I think she's probably one of the best prime ministers in the world right now. But I don't think it has anything to do with the fact that whether she's woman or not. Just like how it has nothing to do with the fact that some prime minister may be a shit leader, that if he's a man. I think it's just if you're a good leader or not a good leader. That's all.
Yeah,
So I think that's really interesting. But yet everyone keeps keep saying memes. All the people, all the prime minister, all the countries with women, female prime ministers are doing better. Maybe there's a chance they might be doing better because women are really good at understanding situations better than sometimes, because men are a little bit more. Once again, I'm generalizing. Or I suppose this generalizing, but men are usually more. Um, they don't see the fine, like they don't understand the fine truth of things that maybe right.
yeah, yeah. Look more singularly focused, and I
Yeah,
think
more, yeah, women are able to process more, so maybe that might be true, but I think
and
they're
that's
also just good leaders. Has nothing to do with the fact that they might be women. i
yeah,
think wom- I think they're just good leaders, so you can't take away from them that they're not great leaders. So I think by actually saying that they're good leaders because they're women, you're undoing the whole good that we've done by putting this brilliant leader in this in a situation where she's able to help the country, but just saying, "Oh, she's only doing good because she's a woman," we're just ruining everything.
yeah, 100%. Yeah, you're devaluing her. You think that you're trying to bolster it up, and it's what I was going back to what way society viewed. Like there definitely was discrepancies, and for a long time, women couldn't even vote in Australia. Like there certainly was that sort of thing going on. So people were trying to kind of counter that by going the other way. But what you just said there, even though you felt like you needed to apologize or you needed to be careful of what you said, you didn't say anything even close to wrong or something. I believe you shouldn't even have to say that before you say something like that, because what you said was so true and so spot on. It's not even debatable. But I guess we do live in a society, and you want people to know that you're being authentic and being nice, and I do the same thing as well. But like ultimately, that sort of thing for me is like that kind of common sense to the point where it's laughable that it's even discussed. It's kind of, remember that same story we were talking about with the lady who was getting up making bloody dinner for like lunch, breakfast for her husband because he worked two jobs and
Oh,
everything
yeah,
else.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
That's
it's
right.
like it's the same thing. It's like, well, we have to kind of go there because that sort of part of society still exists, and it's a but kind of goes back to go full circle. Maybe this is the kind of the highlight of today's show. The topic is human nature,
Yeah, that's
the
it.
way
Human
people act.
nature.
Yeah,
So I think,
true
yeah,
story.
that was a good rant. So
Yeah, yeah, that was good.
I was holding back today. I was like, you know what, there could be
Yeah,
a good episode.
yeah, yeah.
But
Nah, it was good.
I
Open
guess
up.
our promise is to be honest. I
That's right.
suppose to
Always
people who are listening.
Yeah, I mean that's it, man. Like we feel like we're not in a position right now where we're not influenced by anyone. We don't have to worry about what we say. We're good people. We have good hearts, so we just need to speak from the truth. And I think that's what people like. It's not just we're not just being. This is what people are really thinking and feeling. So yeah, it's very good, my brother.
That's it. This has been a quite emotional episode, actually.
Yeah, yeah. I felt like there's
If I
been,
say so.
you've had to peel back a few layers of that onion of yours, mate. But no, that's good. You're a strong brother.
Well, no, I appreciate it. I really appreciate the fact that you saw that I was avoiding this.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's
No,
brilliant.
it's okay. It's okay. I mean, we were close because if you had said don't about it, I was going to let it go. But I'm like, I only said it because I went on a rant for like 5 minutes, and I felt like fuck. I felt like I kind of just beat you to death. Like, oh shit.
No, it was good. I was like, man, like I wanted you to talk because I
Yeah,
wanted to sit back and I'm not
yeah,
just gonna rant, but which is good.
yeah,
No, this is good. This has been a really good episode, and I think it's been a very honest and very from heartfelt episode, which is kind of nice and sort of what we're going through as a society and some of the things that we're not going through, but we're being forced to go through.
yeah. I feel like
Anyway,
sometimes with myself, and we'll finish on this, but like I don't want to address certain topics. I don't want to talk about certain things. I don't want to almost go into a state of like, you're not going into negativity, but you're kind of talking about negative things because I just want to be positive and I want to feel like I'm just putting off positive vibes. But sometimes at the end of the day, you've just got to be honest and you've got to call something out. If you feel a certain way, you can't bottle it up. So Yeah, beautifully done, my brother.
Oh,
Awesome.
for sure, for sure. Now, before we go, I wanna read out a quote, which is a really nice quote that I read the other day, and I thought truly hit me heavy, in a good way, hit me heavy. So this is a quote by Friedrich Nietzsche, who's a philosopher, right? Brilliant, brilliant philosopher, right? He's one of those people who's said some things. He's a German philosopher, and he's some of the things that he said, you hear and you go, this is truth to life, right? And then you hear that and you can really take those things on board. So his quote goes, to live is to suffer, to survive is to find meaning in the suffering.
To
And
live
now,
is a many in
to
suffering.
live, I'll read it out again. To live is to suffer, to survive is to find some meaning in the suffering. So
Beautiful.
one more time, okay, I'm gonna read it out one more time because I think it's not enough twice.
Yeah.
To live, to live is to suffer. To survive is to find some meaning in the suffering.
Yeah. Because we all go through it. It's that strength you get from the suffering that is your meaning.
Absolutely. Anyway, so in that note, I just wanted to note that we may all be going through some we may be all suffering, right, in some
Definitely.
sense. But I think it's important to remember, out of suffering, out of chaos, comes beautiful things.
Yeah. Amen. Amen, brother. That's what's happened throughout history, and that's going to happen here again. We just need to stay in the game. Treat everyone nice. Tell your friends, family, and even some strangers that you love them. Just do it from a socially distanced area. And of course, anything we did say today, yeah, it's all allegations. We're not up for any illegal cases. Nah, all good.
Not for the court cases. Up for the court cases.
Yeah. All right. This has been Clever Dummies, episode number 12. Check us out, of course, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Thank you for listening. If you've made it the way through, check out a few of our other episodes. I think you'll kind of like the other topics we've covered and kind of how we're developing as a program and as a show. And, of course, follow us on socials. And, yeah, just be nice to yourselves, be nice to everyone else, and just be a good person. Be a good motherfucker, as Isaac Butterfield would say.
That's a shout out to him. He's embodiment of comedy.
How good. He's good,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's good.
Awesome.
Anyway, thank you so much for listening, guys. Lachlan, I'll
Yeah.
play some music, I guess.
Yeah. Love you guys. Take care.
Bye.